Department of Trade and Industry is a custodian of the empowerment programs in South Africa. These include BEE, the women empowerment, the youth empowerment. So we formed a partnership as the DTI and the business and professional women. Through this partnership, then we decided to organize this business breakfast, whereby the minister and the CEOs of industry, they'll be unveiling, the women empowerment principles of the United Nations. These are just guides in terms of how do you empower women in the workplace and in the society at large. So yes, we will be co-funding this function and also the programs that are designed to train women in terms of how do they participate in boards and in corporate governance issues.
How do you think we've fared so far in South Africa when it comes to women's development?
Oh, we have done very well, more especially from the government side and the parastatals and state-owned enterprises. The women there have been empowered. In fact, according to the United Nations, we are one of the countries that are really doing very well in terms of empowering women. Whether they're talking about women in parliament, women in business, but there's still a long way to go, really. So hence then these efforts between the DTI and agencies like BPW to train women, to skill them so that they could participate at the top management of top companies in South Africa.
Is there any message that you'd like to give to corporate South Africa in terms of promoting and advancing women and putting women on the agenda within the workplace?
Oh yes, we say, you empower women, you empower the nation. You train a woman, you train the nation. So we appeal to all the companies out there to really get into programs of promoting women in their workplace, because you empower women, as I've said, you empower the nation. And it's all about growth. You don't say just bring people who are not going to contribute to the value of the company. It's all about growth. It's all about ensuring that there's equity in the workplace. It's all about ensuring there's economic growth and development in the country.
ILO has got many programs empowering women, but I think we must understand that this is a journey and not an event. And so it's a continual striving to get women's rights into place, but not only the rights, but to see the fruits thereof. And so we find throughout the world we have these many laws and regulations in favor of women, but in practice it's a very slow move. And so although we've got some good role models, we need more. And one of the key factors to this is the women who are successful, not to stand on that pedestal and say what they've done, but to try and pull those young women through. We've got too many young women not in school that are battling along, and in South Africa that's a challenge we need to meet. I think the corporate South Africa are doing okay, but I think we can do a lot more. There's still too many industries that are lagging behind. We've got a few flagships, but some of them just don't have any women participation at board level at all. In today's times, that's unacceptable.
The government have been fantastic. Obviously, we can do a lot more. I think legislation in terms of rape victims, that type of thing really needs to be looked at. But in terms of what they've achieved over the last 10 years is phenomenal. In terms of South African women having a mark not only across Africa, but in the world, we're ranking in the top 10. So I think that's something to be mentioned.
I think it's quite a credible moment, because I think one of the critical things that we need to achieve, we still have to work out on empowering women. And one of the things that we are currently failing on is actually getting women on governance issues. And as you've noted, all the 3 programs that they have, the biggest challenge is women on boards. And I think this provides an opportunity to capacitate women to participate effectively at this level, so that opportunities can be broadened across the spectrum, and then we grow the economy that we need in South Africa and achieve the jobs that are needed in terms of the DTI objectives, which is about 5 million jobs for the IPEP pot. I think corporate South Africa should embrace this. It's a very critical moment for them to actually access women, credible women, not only credible, but inspirational women that can build leaders in the country, and also from a DTI's perspective to actually increase or mainstream gender in terms of women empowerment across the board, in terms of the corporate South Africa, and as well as also for your SMMEs as well, because we need to actually practice what we preach in South Africa in ensuring that all levels of business are participating.
So I really appreciate what government and what the Minister of Trade and Industry is busy doing for us. We'll have a strong voice. We will be able to help and uplift the younger generation. To me, that's very important. Women on the move should take all the women with to move along.
We're actually supporting this breakfast because of the importance of the organization. we've co-funding it, and we also invited some of our partners. But the main focus is really to bring women together and around specific issues. And we believe that this breakfast is a good reason for getting together. I think it will, given the specific program, it will give us also new ideas on where to go with our program, on how to support organizations like this one further. So we definitely think there's more than just networking.
The company that I work for, we're very focused on diversity and inclusion. And diversity spreads across gender, it spreads across race, it spreads across many different things. So from a gender perspective, we are focused on it. I work for a company called PepsiCo. We're a global company. And right across the world, we ensure that we do have a fair balance, because that represents our consumer base. I'm looking to see what is happening in South Africa and Africa in terms of diversity, and also understanding how we can influence more on the enterprise development side of things, and supporting local communities. And obviously, having gender diversity in that area is important to us as well, and having a decent spread, again, to get closer to our consumers and to ensure that we're representing ourselves as a company.
It's a very exciting time for women in South Africa, and as a CEO of CD Vera Fashions, I endorse and really embrace all the 7 principles, and I know we're going to apply them and take other women on board, and try educate those who are not as fortunate as these women who are in this room. So it's for us to actually wave the flag and to be the custodian of all the 7 principles and make sure that we are shining stars.
Personally, on a personal level, I think this is a great stride for particularly women of my generation. It's almost as if, we had the women before us who fought for this kind of platform, and it's exciting that it's now being handed out to a generation at my level. That's on a personal level. For a company level, I'm with Transport Terminals, which is part of Transnet, state-owned corporation, and we're particularly excited about this because as Transnet, we want to contribute meaningfully to job creation on a whole, women's empowerment, to skills development, and I think it's not just an imperative, an ethical and moral imperative, but I think for us as a nation and as a people to go forward proudly is something that we all need to embrace, regardless of how small or big an organization is. So every little step counts, every signature counts, and every effort counts. And I'm so proud to be part of an organization that really does embrace women's empowerment and the advancement of women on all levels. Okay, regardless of whether you're executive, you're a director, but let's all go forward. Together we can do more, as our government would say.
For my company in the first place, I come from a rural place, Giani, in Limpopo, deep rural. And you'll understand that for a company in that environment, it means a lot. It means in terms of development, then we're taking it a step higher. Because all these things that happen, the principles are there and will help us really from the state where we are right now to a higher level of really gaining exposure. And then also in terms of developing the company, we now have principles that guide us, especially in terms of job creation, in terms of skills development, in terms also of poverty alleviation. The president indicated that we have to strive for job creation. Now, if our company is now going to develop to that extent of creating jobs, then we're going to contribute to the country's GDP.
It means a lot in terms of women's empowerment because it provides a framework
under which we can actually work, under which we can actually monitor whether the private sector and companies are actually implementing gender equality principles in the place of work. So this is the first time that we are doing it in South Africa. It has been a wonderful launch, highly and hugely successful. It remains for us, as the Deputy Minister said, to be able to monitor how the companies are doing. So we're extremely proud of the partnership with DTI as well as with the BPW.
I'm very excited about the whole thing because I'm from the Estate Agency Affairs Board and I'm actually a player in the real estate market, and I can tell you, when we talk of ownership of women, people who own companies, men are still on top of us. And what is funny, if I may tell you, people who are in the industry, women are more than men, but those who own are less than men are still topping us. So if this could help us as women to get that ownership principle into the whole thing, very much excited about the whole thing.
Okay. How would you apply this within your organization, the principles?
We're going to form structures, and then we're going to see to it that a lot of women go for training so that a lot of them can go sit at various boards and be responsible. We don't want a leadership whereby you are put there as a woman, as a token. So this will help us, especially if we will go for the training and be there to take decisive, decisions.
Was this an event that was well worth attending?
Very much. Very much.
And last but not least, is there any advice or any message that you'd like to give to government or corporate South Africa? Any words of inspiration or encouragement?
Yeah, we want this breakfast not to be like a once-off thing. We want them to come as more often as possible, just to encourage us and to remind us of all the things we should do as women.
I think as a woman it says a lot. Firstly, it is exposing organizations to basically look at how they are empowering and skilling up women in the workplace. So from a woman's perspective, I'm really excited about this launch and this initiative with BPW.
It's been really great to see that the government recognizes that there is a bit of a problem and they're willing to do something about it, and they're willing to put their head on the block to say, we want to work with you, we want to make it a success, and we know there's a problem and we are also part of the solution. That was really great. It was great to see. Corporate governance is another way of combating corruption, because as soon as women know, all people in general know what principles, what's the role corporate governance plays in the business, and how well you can run a company, and how well you'll be able to place those checks and balances. It's very easy to then move from there and say, okay, fine, do we want to be good corporate citizens? And if we can do that, then we'll be able to deal with a lot of other things that come to us. This is not really all about just women, it's about men as well, because we know that if we don't have that conversation between men and women, we cannot get anywhere. We specifically focusing on women, but knowing that we are doing this in partnership with men.
A very successful launch of the United Nations Women Empowerment Principles. It means a lot for us. Firstly, we've been dealing with issues of outreach in terms of our programs for women empowerment, but also thinking about just the positioning of women in leadership positions or decision-making structures. And I know there are various women associations that have been trying to do it with us, but really to get something that would get it off the ground, we got it this time, and it means a lot for us. I want to go back to what the minister said and our deputy minister. Very interesting stuff to say, yes, government is leading, but indeed we want to see business holding hands with government. And I like what the deputy minister said, that it should be the leaders of these institutions that are taking the initiative to actually change even their policy frameworks to actually make space for women to participate. And I know, looking at their participation and their attendance here today, it's something they want to do. They want to be given that guidance to say, if you get these principles, this is what you can do, and take the whole process forward.
Thank you, Mabongi. And go on raising the flag so high and being a role model to all of us. We truly appreciate that, and we know full well that you're doing an extremely great job. So thank you on behalf of BPW, as well as the ladies in South Africa and also in the world, because we are really creating that space and other countries are looking at us and saying that we are doing such a fantastic job. Thank you very much.